Welcome to Capitol Insider. I'm Jeff Kummer, State House Editor with the Des Moines Register. With me are Bill Petroski, our Senate reporter, and Jason Noble, our House reporter. This week, we saw for the first time the budget targets that were released by the Senate and by the House. They've got a ways to go to come together, don't they?
That's right. The budget has been kind of a back burner issue for the last several weeks as they've worked through some of the bigger policy issues. But this week we saw the first big step toward working on the budget, which is that the House Republican majority and the Senate Democratic majority put out their targeted spending levels. And they are way far apart, about $484 million. The Senate Democrats want to spend a lot more, quite a bit more than the governor's recommended, and House Republicans are way on the other side, actually proposing to spend less than the governor's proposal. And so what that means is that the two chambers will kind of work through their budgets separately, and then at some point they'll have to come together, and they're going to have a lot of distance to find compromise in. So I don't know if it means that we're going to be here till June 30th like we were 2 years ago, but it's going to be a lengthy and difficult discussion, I think.
The key thing here is that a lot of the blanks still need to be filled in.
That's right.
When they talk about targets, what they've essentially done is established this is where we think the top level is in terms of our spending. Specific amounts of spending for education, for public safety, for health and other programs. Those are all yet to really be decided. I mean, they've kind of got some parameters there, but really filling in the very specific blanks on those things are yet to be accomplished.
Where do they go from here?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but there's budget subcommittees in both chambers that are responsible for setting the actual budgets for the different spending areas, education, healthcare, transportation, et cetera. And so those subcommittees will take that big number that the leaders have given them and craft budgets for those spending areas that make sure it all matches up. And then from there, it's like regular bill goes to the committee, onto the floor, and on down the line.
One of the key things here that's still outstanding is that an arbitrator has not come forward with the contract award for the AFSCME labor contract. And right now, there isn't really money in that. The House Republicans have said they set a 0% budget factor. The Senate Democrats, who are in charge of their chamber, they've said that they built in a factor, but they aren't going to tell us because they feel like that would be counterproductive to the process of collective bargaining. So that's an important thing, because if the arbitrator comes in with a significantly high award, we could see a situation under the Republican budget where they may have want, for example, to budget for additional prison correctional officers, but if that comes in too high, even if they go give additional money to the state prison system, that money might have to be spent, for example, to pay for the increased costs of the salaries of the people who are already there.
And we saw a flurry of activity this past week. Things started heating up over there. We saw a lot of bills that were coming up for discussion in subcommittee. That's only going to accelerate starting Monday, correct?
There was, I think it was Thursday that I believe there was approximately 40 committees in the
House
just
alone.
On the House side. And I mean, there are dozens and dozens of committees. And when we say committees, we can be talking about as few as 2 or 3 senators meeting in a room or just any kind of table that they can find in one of the House or Senate lounges to sit down and talk and to let lobbyists come. And it's a very informal type of a situation, but that can determine whether a bill moves forward or not. I just wrote down a few examples of some things that are still pending out there. Some things,
we're talking about funnel week.
That's
that
right.
Started.
That's exactly right. And when we talk about funnel week, what we're talking about is the first deadline. These bills, if they don't make it out of committee in one chamber, they're essentially dead. Now, when we say dead in the legislature, nothing is ever dead, but it's a pretty good cut. And you probably won't see the light of day for most things. For example, radon testing in school, disciplinary procedures for the Board of Medicine, some campaign finance legislation, public cafeteria dietary guidelines, a missing Iowa children's law, things like that, things that might not be at the top of your mind as the education reform bill or property tax reform or Medicaid expansion, but these are all kind of part of the legislative process, and those are all going to be very much on the front burner next week.
That's right. One of the bills that's coming up next week that we haven't really heard anything about, but that will be subject to this funnel deadline is in regard to school bullying. The subcommittee that'll consider that bill for the first time just got posted recently. That'll be Monday afternoon. The governor's office has put out a press release kind of highlighting that bill. These are the kind of things that we're going to see moving here with 5 days to go before a significant deadline in the process.
All right, well, we'll have to be wearing our track shoes for next week, that's for sure. You can follow Bill's coverage and Jason's coverage at DesMoinesRegister.com throughout the week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.